And just a reminder
Thank you
before
so
you head
much.
out.
Keep it up.
Yes.
So, as we begin our
Owen Hall.
presentation, I am required by Senior Director Flynn to read the following prepared statement. Several years ago when we did this, I announced that we would be having a drawing for Senior Director Flynn's car at the end of the presentation. However, he found that somewhat problematical, so we will not be having a drawing for Senior Director Flynn's car. Unfortunately, that's the bad news for today. Now, the good news is, I think we all recognize how technology is not only impacting the business universe, but also is having a strong impact in academia. As you know, some 5 years ago, under former Dean Smith, now Associate Provost Smith, we launched our online MBA program, and now a number of other schools are getting on board as well, and that the role of technology as it relates to, for example, learning management systems like Sakai are having a deep impact on how education is being delivered. And so with that in mind, we were fortunate to receive, after signing the agreement with Senior Director Flynn, that we would not announce about his car. We received a grant from Central IT in 2016 to further explore the impact of technology on higher education. And that's what we'd like to report to you today. And so our agenda is to, one, look at some of the challenges we're facing, not only in management education, but in higher education in general. Look at some of the technology slants and trends. And an area that is getting, as you can see today, increased attention is these telepresent robots. We also have a mission here at Pepperdine on sustainability, and any way we can reduce commuting helps in that regard, as well as providing some of our students who need accommodation in supporting their learning outcomes. Talk a little bit about the growing role of blended learning and assessment, and then wrap it up about where things will be in the next few years as former Dean Smith drives me down to the Shady Acres retirement home for the last time, as he reported yesterday. So I think the quote here speaks for itself in the sense that technology in general and artificial intelligence in particular are going to dramatically alter the way we deliver content in higher education. So in terms of some of the challenges as we see them, we interview business people all the time. They're looking for web-savvy graduates who can contribute to the firm immediately. And we need to make sure we're aligned with that philosophy. That is, we're graduating students who can immediately fit into their work environment. We also see the growing role of globalization. I think most of us, although hopeful, still see a somewhat uncertain economy. And again, as part of our Pepperdine philosophy of developing people with leadership, purpose, and service, we need to be able to support and provide accommodations to many of our students. One area in particular that we're very proud of is our outreach to our military veterans. And of course, several of the new schools are adopting online programs as we speak. So there's a lot going on. And so let me address now some of the technology issues that we're facing. First of all, how can we use technology to improve student learning opportunities and outcomes? No more do we think about education as a classroom with four walls, with little people sitting in little seats and somewhat older person standing up in front. Those days are gone. And so what we want to do is leverage technology to really improve learning, because we need to recognize that every single student does not learn in exactly the same way. And therefore, using technology, we can better accommodate that wide range of requirements. And also, a very hot area right now is what is called shadow IT. And that is, and this is what keeps Mr. Flynn up late at night, end users within the school, and this is the same in business, using their own IT solutions. And what we have to come to grips with is some balance between that. Do we wait until IT develops solutions that we're looking for, or at the end user end, and especially in using the cloud, should we break through in that regard? And then you have all kinds of security issues, compliance issues. It's a very challenging task, again called shadow IT. And then finally, one of the things certainly at the Graziadia School we've not done a very good job on is the assessment process. As you all know, we have live text, and we're supposed to be assessing performance of the student body and then analyzing that for ways in which we can improve. And this is another technical area where a lot of work needs to be done. So in terms of the study we did for Mr. Flynn in 2016, we looked at three broad areas: telepresence, help desk, and intelligent tutors. And you can see we've made our most progress with the deployment of, it looks like we have about 9 double robots at a number of our campuses, thanks to a generous grant from Mr. Flynn. And the purpose of this is to beta test these systems. And the idea is, one, they're dual purpose, so they can engage in events like today, staff meetings, and be used in the classroom by faculty and students as well. So we're hopeful to get a lot of utilization out of these systems over time. The main thing is for us to get a sense of how they best can be used. On the help desk front, as you know, we went to a automated help desk, I'm gonna call it level 1, where you can reset your password. And the idea is, what is then next? And we hope to be rolling out some ideas in that regard in spring. And then finally, the use of intelligent tutors. Benjamin Bloom found in the mid-'80s that a student with a master tutor could improve their learning performance as measured by tests 2 sigma, or be up in the 95% range compared to the 50% range for a standard student. How can we then utilize that concept, specialized tutoring, to improve student outcomes? And that was the third area. And again, we're planning to do some work in the spring in this sector as well. And by the way, Michelle, this is across schools.
All right.
So the robots are for GSEP, the help desks are for GSEP, using intelligent tutors. So this is a Pepperdine-wide initiative. Now, many of you may laugh at this. I think she's a little better looking than Junior, but in 2014 in a city in Japan, the hotel that they had built was then populated, and 80% of the functionality of the hotel is run by robots. So they greet you, they check you in, they take your bags up to your room, they clean your room. Now, this is not a 5-star hotel, but it's simply a sign of the times. This stuff is coming, and it's coming really fast, and so we need to stay on top of it. Wouldn't it be laughable? You'd just flown 12 hours from LA into Tokyo, and you checked into the hotel and were greeted by a robot, would that be scary or what? Now, there are basically two types of telepresence systems. A static one like this, Cisco deploys these on a fairly wide scale basis. They have a price point of about $350K, and the whole idea is to make you feel like you're there. That's the whole notion behind telepresence. The problem, in addition to the price point, is they're not mobile like Junior is. And so if we had a room like this in the building, we would be confined to using it within that room as opposed to the flexibility of these mobile robots. Which gets us then to the mobile unit, which is highlighted here. So you can see you can have a combination of students in class and, in this case, a double robot and multiple numbers of them in a complementary way. So for an example, if a student is ill, we don't want them to come to class and infect everyone else. If they're needing special accommodations or on travel status, they're able to join us just like we're doing today with Junior. And so that's the idea behind the classroom application. But as I reported, these are dual purpose in the sense that they can also be used and have been now in the Graziadia School, used by staff and in conferences like this today. So here's a little listing of some fairly recent telepresence applications. This is a competitor. I'm not into picking winners or losers, so here's a competitor to the double robot, and there's 3 or 4 of these around. We just found when we looked at it that double robot seemed to be most interested in helping Pepperdine, and that's why we went with that particular vendor. But again, there are many of these around. Again, our role here is not to pick winners and losers. So here's a listing of some of the institutions that are employing robotic telepresence. It's fairly impressive, and this list will continue growing as more and more people see applications. And so here are some of the benefits of these applications, the robotic applications. And again, the idea is that it enhances both student and staff flexibility, which is a great thing, especially for Pepperdine, which tries to reach out and assist both staff and faculty in a variety of ways, including, Armand, those fringe benefit meetings as you attended a couple of days ago. Now, one of the challenges we have at the Graziadia School with multiple campuses, and I'm assuming GSEP would be in a similar boat, are what we call undersubscribed courses. So we have these emphases, and say we're offering one, but we only might have 3 students at West LA who are interested, 4 students at Orange County, 2 students at Encino, and probably not going to offer the course. But if we were to combine those 3 campuses using our telepresence mobile robots, we could make the course. And that's the idea. So the instructor, a couple of models. One could rotate among the 3 campuses and having the robots appear for students in the other 2, or you could have West LA as the center point where all the robots are kept, and have those students in Orange County and in Encino dial in. As Jose Juan will give you a little chance to give this spin here later this afternoon, you'll see if you can get up to speed here in literally 5 minutes. You can also, by the way, record interactions between the robots, which makes it really nice to go back then and take a look at conversations. So one of the real advantages of the robotic telepresence systems is supporting, and we have real challenges at the Graziadia School, is supporting these under subscribed courses as Ormond continues to roll out more and more emphases. So we have more and more emphases chasing fewer and fewer students, but it's all good. Dean Smith was proposing yesterday, I can't believe this, a new emphasis in retirement management. And he was thinking about me becoming that manager, living at the retirement home, to make sure I understood really what the requirements were. I found that really unbelievable, or something like that. Now, as you know, we now offer content in a variety of ways. We have what we'll call our traditional evening course. GSEP has the same thing. We have the counterpoint to that, our online course, and GSEP, as I understand it, has just rolled out their first online program. Several of the other schools are getting there. And of course, this is an area where central IT can play a really important role of helping try to integrate and make sure we learn from our previous tasks in order to improve the product. That's one of the reasons former Dean Smith is now Associate Provost for online programs. And he's going to try to help us do this somewhat better. And then in between, we have what is called a flex program, where we have a mixture of some online and some in class, and then something called a hybrid approach, where we might have, which is mostly traditional, a few sessions of online, so that students can become more familiar with the online process and segue nicely into that in subsequent courses, and particularly in these emphases that are somewhat undersubscribed. So the future of higher education, whether it's in the business school or the other schools, this is the new template. This is the new norm, and even applies to the undergraduate students as well. All of them are up-tempo in the tech area, and so this is what we're going to be seeing into the future. And again, this chart simply underscores some of the advantages for tapping into the web and the online learning environment. And business managers are looking for people who know how to do this. First of all, a lot of training when you come on board in a new organization is provided via the cloud. So the fact that you're already up to speed really makes it a lot nicer. And again, it allows for more customization, which again is where education in general is moving. Every student is different, every student learns differently, and so that's how we can put a template together. Now, I mentioned the fact that Pepperdine University has a ongoing effort for sustainability. And one of the strong areas that we can do more work in, and I think everyone would say here tonight, or this afternoon, amen, is I don't like driving on the freeway. And so, either in a staff situation, conference like this, learning opportunity at night or in the day, we can radically reduce commuting to the institution. And as a result, improve learning outcomes and reduce our carbon footprint as well. So this fits nicely into this other sector of Pepperdine. We actually have an office of sustainability, and so I think we're moving in the right direction in that regard. Now, I also reported earlier we have a Office of Student Accommodation. And so trying to reach out to those who have some special requirements, reaching out to those who could not visit the campus, that's all good stuff. And again, a special reach out to our military veterans who may have some special challenges again. All of that can be addressed using these telepresent robots. So again, it supports another important element of the Pepperdine program. Now, help desk was a second sector we looked at, and I think this stat right here says it all, especially as it relates to the business universe. 30% of all help desk services will be provided by robots within 3 years. So we need to stay on that bandwagon. As many of you know, there is a very large employee turnover in help desks when they're manned by humans. How would you like to sit there all day hearing nothing but complaints? That's got to wear you down. And so the robot has no problem with that. And so this spring we're going to be looking in and adding the possibility of a second layer of support. Could be with Adobe Connect, could be with Sakai. There's some payroll areas that we might be able to work with. So we can sort of develop a plan. And the general philosophy has been from Central IT, which is to prototype these things as we are doing with the telepresent robots, see what happens, and then take it up to the next level. So look for some more announcements from this and opportunities this coming spring. Now everyone has a buzz upon artificial intelligence. You know, the fellow that heads up Tesla, Mr. Musk, has been saying he's nervous because these robots and this AI stuff may put the rest of us out of business, but it is a reality that's coming and coming very quickly. And so the question becomes, how can we utilize this in a university setting? And I'll pause a moment. You might enjoy the cartoon.
Can you zoom in on the cartoon?
The cartoon, yes. So the idea behind this is trying to customize a learning opportunity for each student based on their characteristics and performance. So as, let's say at Sakai, I'm recording quiz data on a weekly basis. I can look at that or the machine can, and then make a recommendation to the student as to what additional learning resources might be most appropriate to enhance their learning opportunities. And so there are basically two flavors. If you can think about Sakai, you can hear and have them look at recording test performance, quiz performance, and then having an examination as to content that you have on Sakai and releasing it. And that's called conditional release technology. The other one is to have an authorizable package, and these are all commercially available, so that you can develop a learning algorithm that the students then could use. So this is, again, moving very quickly. And the nice thing about this is, rough statistics from our program office suggest that in the Grazi Dia School, we have about 11% of our students at risk. The last thing we want to do is to lose anybody. And so can we design interventions early on such that we could keep them on board and improve their learning outcomes? And so interventions are an ideal outcome of this process. And as I reported early in the mix, Benjamin Bloom in the 1980s took a look at what if I were to provide customized tutoring to individual students. So here we have a little graphic over here, and you can see that this is the standard normal performance curve. And Bloom found that if I could provide one-on-one tutoring, the student's performance jumped from here, on average, up to here, which is extremely impressive. Now, unfortunately, we don't have enough master tutors to do this on a wide-scale basis, and so the deal is, let's have a cloud-based computer model do it instead. And so, to date, the work done, we're averaging about 1 standard deviation. That is, the best machines right now can improve student performance over a wide range of disciplines, not just in business, about 1 standard deviation. So we're on our way, and again, the goal is to get to that 95% level, which by any metric would be extremely impressive. Now, getting back to reality, which is what Mr. Flynn emails me on a daily basis about actually doing any of this stuff. And so here is Rogers' adoption distribution. And this actually humorously was first coined in the 1960s with respect to the introduction of artificial corn, if you will, or hybrid corn. And the question was that the technology was there, how quickly would the farming community adopt hybrid corn? And so he came up with this idea, which now we apply to a whole broad area of technologies, including our robots and our help desks and our intelligent tutors. And the idea is that there's always a few, I'll call them junkies, who are really hot on all this kind of stuff. But you can see here, and even enthusiasts, only make up a relatively small proportion of the entire population at hand. And so the idea, and that's why we're approaching it as we are, is to be able to show proof of principle, proof of concept, and hopefully get the majority in the loop. Once we've done that, and for example, we've done that with Sakai now, we're well on our way of facilitating these technologies. I added to the original Rogers model the Luddite department. Ned Ludd was a fellow who was not happy with the Industrial Revolution in the early 1800s and was characterized as not only not happy about it, but engaged in some sabotage. And that may also occur here. There will be some folks who just don't want to mess with this stuff. But again, it's all about selling. And the way you sell is you have results that you can demonstrate, like with our modest robotic program. So another area that we're proposing is the development of a collaborative network among the schools so that we can share ideas and experiences, and so we don't make the same mistakes a second or third time. And that's one of the roles Associate Provost Smith has with respect to the online program, and we'll be talking and rolling out some stuff on this again in the spring. So, best practices, it's all about leveraging. If we find something that works, then share it with the other schools. If we find something that doesn't work, we give them a heads up as well. So again, the idea that we've got 5 schools, each with different technological needs, but also very curious. The collaborative network system is going to be very helpful to us in that regard. I mentioned earlier, this is the area that keeps Mr. Flynn up late at night, which is this shadow use of technology. These are some of the concerns he has, and it is a real problem. And so we're going to try to develop a plan that allows end users some freedom, some flexibility, but sort of tries to manage it in a very effective way. You can imagine if everyone had their own IT solution here, at Pepperdine, I'd have to have Mr. Flynn joining me down at the rest home. We wouldn't want that. In terms of wrapping this up, and hey, does anyone know how that picture got there, Mr. Grimm? Do you have any idea? Okay.
Yeah, touch picture is still great.
All right. So, wrapping this up, we have found that digital technology is exploding, and in higher ed. We found that students, millennials, are much more interested in interactive, dynamic learning as opposed to sitting there listening to some elderly gentleman talking for 4 hours. That's just the nature of the beast. And so we're going to be relying increasingly on technology as we continue through these development efforts. And of course, we need to be able to demonstrate proof of principle. Hey, this stuff really works before we write big checks to roll the technology out. So in sum, technology and the economics and business community are changing dramatically. They're looking for graduates who can become active immediately. We believe these telepresent robots are going to be helpful in that regard. And in that sense, we believe that if you can find applications, we're going to be very excited about hearing those reports. Right now, we have 2 robots to support the Grazidia School here in West LA. I think we've sent 1 upstairs to GCEP. I believe we have 4 at the Malibu campus and 1 or 2 at Encino. But again, if we can sow some use, we can certainly begin to increase those numbers. And with that, I'd like to thank you for listening today. Catch somebody doing something right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, if you would like, Jose Juan, he's available to allow you to take a little spin of Junior. My only request is please don't run me off the building. That's it. Thanks again.
Thank you. On behalf of TechLearn, we also have a gift for you, Owen, but we're going to invite Gary Greer up here to receive it on your behalf.